And we have the interpretation service.
Yes.
Okay. Well, thank you, Tishma. Thank you all very much. It's a pleasure to be here. And more importantly, it's a pleasure to be holding our second annual Mount Vernon District Neighborhood College. This is something that I've been wanting to do for a number of years. We started last year and we had I'd say, a very, very enthusiastic and active and engaged first group. And if anything, the process and the product, if you will, at the last class that we had with everybody, I think proved the point of why this is really important to do, which is getting each of you involved in your community and helping you understand really all the different components of the community, whether it's the county side or the not-for-profits, or really all the different other players, important organizations that make up our community. I think gives hopefully everybody a chance to understand how they can, frankly, become stronger and reach their full potential, meaning that not only using the different groups to help you in your own personal life, but also using the different groups and the different resources that are available to help your neighborhood, you help your neighbors, to help our community overall. So it is a chance for us to really connect in a very, very comprehensive way that it frankly doesn't normally happen. So I'm here. I know my staff will be here. Maddie, can you wave your hand, Maddie, and let folks know that you're, let's see, I'm looking for, well, she's supposed to be here. So Maddie is a key person on my staff, which will be attending the meetings, and I'll look for her to do that. There's also time, and I mean, you'll also see other members of the Mount Vernon District, my staff, if you will, that'll be part of explaining or presenting or really engaging with you about not only how our office works, but how our office works with each and all of you. So I would say the key things for me are pretty much what hopefully you saw when you decided to sign up, which is we want you to learn how Fairfax County government works. We want you to understand all the varieties and types of peoples and backgrounds, and really how that makes us stronger, I deeply believe, and richer, and in my mind, a better place to raise your family, as well as a chance for you to explore topics or issues that you have questions or concerns about, or hopefully understand better, whether in your community or outside of it. And then to take these and apply them to your family, your neighbors, your friends, and others who can benefit from what you've learned. And ultimately, we need more leaders. We need you to be a leader and a representative in our community that can help others to become their best, and again, help others to reach their full potential. So we're excited to have you here, and look forward to seeing you all, especially as you go through this process. But for me particularly, I will look forward to seeing you at the last class and listening and getting kind of the knowledge that you've gained, and as well as the things that you've identified that you'd like to see us do more, or see you or your particular neighborhood do more or less of. So with that, I'm all set.
Well, thank you so much.
Thank you.
All right. So thank you again for those welcoming remarks, Supervisor Stork. And again, I wanted to thank everyone who is sharing this space with us. We are going to embark on a 6-week learning journey. 4 of them will be online, the other 2 in person, but I wanted to introduce myself. I am Latishma Walters, and I am one of 4 assistant division directors with the Culture, Recreation, and Community Connection Division as part of Neighborhood and Community Services. I wanted to also thank my colleagues that's on this call who's taken the time out to be here. So we have my colleagues from the Inclusive Engagement and Targeted Intervention Unit. Try saying that several times over. Unit with us on this call tonight. And as we go through, as we meet every Tuesday night for the next 6 weeks, you'll get to know us better. We'll be able to ask and answer questions, and we'll have an opportunity to learn more, as Supervisor Stork said, about county operations and just what's happening within Mount Vernon District and overall county government. So with that, to get us started, I am going to turn it over to Nandra Navarro, who's going to lead us on the way. Nandra?
Thank you, Latishma, and thank you, Supervisor Stewart, for being here today, and to all the participants for being committed and taking the time to participate in this neighborhood college. Thank you also to all the staff and SDS for supporting. So we're gonna go over again the interpretation services like we said before. If you need interpretation, again, go to the globe in the bottom and make sure that you select Spanish. And so we have two interpreters. They're gonna be taking turns. And that is Miss Tania Flores and Miss Helen. Next slide, please. And we just heard Supervisor Storks, and I'm Nandret Navarro, Community of Practice Manager for the Inclusive Engagement and Targeted Intervention Division of Neighborhood and Community Services. Next slide. So what we're going to be having tonight is we already did welcoming remarks and the introductions. We're going to be having an overview of what the neighborhood college would be. And then also neighborhood college practicum. We're going to go over all the details of the expectations that we have for you to complete a practicum. Then we're going to have the community engagement and leadership development, an icebreaker. We're going to have a presentation of Fairfax County government, an exercise of leadership styles, and then we will wrap up for the evening. Next slide. So, for this overview. So tonight, we are here and we are studying the free 6-session civic engagement program. And this is open to all Mount Vernon District residents. They are interested in learning about Fairfax County and the Mount Vernon District. And we are gonna be exploring how to work with neighbors, community organizations and local government to strengthen neighborhoods and build community capacity. This is an excellent leadership program for residents who serve as officers of their home owners or civic association board. So as Supervisor Stark said, it will be very useful. You will gain different skills. You would also be exposed to a lot of information that will help you to sharpen, that willingness that you're having right now to be civically involved, and also to be, having more, collecting more best practices for how to be a leader. And not only for civic associations and homeowner associations and even back, but then also in your community, with your neighbors, with your family, even PTA in the schools, and, so that you are able to be more engaged. We will do this through lectures, group discussions, practical experience, and you will learn about the Fairfax County government, local government. How does it work? Understand demographic profiles and trends in community context. We would explore topics that impact or strengthen neighborhoods and communities, and we will find out how to work effectively within diverse neighborhoods and communities, which Fairfax County is very rich in that sense. So now we're going to have some housekeeping that Latishma Walters is going to share with us.
So for why we enjoy each other in this space, so we call it housekeeping, or I'm going to call it our group agreements. I just wanted to highlight a few things. If we can value everyone's time by being on time, our classes start at 6:30 and at 6:30. If you're able, if we can ask that we turn your cameras on, because part of the engaging, since we're not in a space together, is just seeing facial reactions, asking questions, getting to know, matching face to names. Be present and engage. If you're talking, asking everyone else to mute when you're not talking. We say enjoy a beverage, but hold off eating while you're on camera. I'm asking that you be mindful of any background noise and distractions around. I'm also going to ask that you focus your attention on the class. I know you have 2 hours with us. It's tempted to multitask and what you can do while you're listening in, but I do think being engaged and being fully present is also part of the journey. And I say share the air and take the air, meaning if sometimes some people have the spirit of takeover, we want to allow other people to share, but then allow other people who's not accustomed to sharing, give them the space to also share information as well. And with that, I'm going to say everyone's truth is valid regardless of it is polished. So please don't feel like you have to use government speak. Be who you are in this space. That will help us to be your authentic self. Ask questions. Don't worry about how it comes out. Ask the question and just be, don't worry about if it's polished or not. I'm going to ask you, raise your hand, click the raise hand icon, and we will address you and let you know and let the staff know that your hand is raised. And if you want to ask a comment or a question, just put it in a chat. And then this is not Vegas. The expectation is what's learned here leaves here. The information, you're going to get a wealth of information. We're asking that you take it back to your community. And then the last and final thing I'm going to say, stay inside a space of mutuality. And by that, I mean a space of sharing, feeling, action. And you're going to get to know some people on this calls and develop relationships as you talk about your practicum and you engage in the different conversations about our government. So with that, I am going to turn it over to my colleague who will lead us into an icebreaker to kick us off.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay,
Yes.
perfect. All right, let's go ahead and break some ice. My name is Olga Carrillo, and thanks again, everyone, for being here tonight. I'm a community developer with Neighborhood and Community Services. So I'm going to go ahead and facilitate an icebreaker where we're going to get to know each other a little bit better. What we want you to do is go ahead and tell us your name and the community that you live in. And then you're going to give us one word that describes your community. And for some reason, if you cannot come off mute, when I call on you, just please go ahead and try to write it in the chat. What we're going to do at the end of this or at the end of the sessions, we're going to try to do like a display with this information, a word cloud, by putting them all together to see what neighborhoods and communities are represented in these sessions. So I'm just going to go ahead and go one by one based on who I see first, and then call on the next person. So I see Rafael.
Yes, yes.
So can you tell us what community you live in, and then perhaps a word that describes your community?
Yeah, my name is Rafael Mesquita. I live at the Harmony Place. So it's a small community, and sometimes I feel that we need to be more united as community. I don't feel that we are that, that we work together, as the community. That's what I sometimes think.
Thank you so much, Rafael. I
Yeah.
appreciate.
Thank you.
All right. Next up, I see Cecilia Tatis.
Sorry, my mute button had disappeared. Good evening, everybody. My name is Cecilia Tatis, and I live in the Tysons area. And I think a good word to describe my community would be actually diverse, very diverse community here.
Thank you. All right. And I don't see your name, but I see you as Zoom user. And I think you stated your name in the beginning. You're on mute.
Let me turn my mic on. My name is Pam Ellison, and I live in the Lorton community. However, most of my teaching life and community engagement happened at Bethlehem Baptist Church. And so I'm concerned about the issues that affect Gum Springs and all people of color. Okay. So, and what's the name of the community? A word to describe the community of Gum Springs: caring and engaged. Caring
Awesome.
and engaged for equity.
Thank you. All right, next up, I see Milka.
Yeah. Hello, everyone. My name is Milka. I work in Gum Spring, Glen as a teacher under NCS. So that's my second session with the Neighborhood Community College. I live in a town manor court, so my community is very clean and peaceful and diversity too. So thank you.
That's awesome. Thanks for being here.
Thank you.
All right. Next up, Brian Pagels.
Hi, everyone. I'm Brian Pagels. I live in the Bellhaven Terrace community. And I would say our community is generally friendly, but perhaps somewhat uninformed or disengaged. I don't want to paint with a broad brush, but would like to get some further engagement in the group. So
Perfect. Thank you so much, Brian. Up next, Lorena Chavarria.
Buenas tardes a todos. Mi nombre es Lorena Chavarría. Yo soy embajadora de la comunidad de Secoya. Yo ahorita puedo describir mi comunidad como bastante unida, muy generosa, porque a veces cuando una familia tiene una situación, tratamos siempre de unirnos y ayudarles a la familia. Gracias.
Muchas gracias, señora Chavarría. So she said that the community is very united and that every time there is an issue, the families come together to find a solution.
Muchas gracias, señora Lorena. Let's see. Mr. Keith Chauvelin?
Yes, Keith Chauvelin, yes. I'm in the Newington Commons community. And I'd say best word for our community is comfortable.
Oh, nice. And thank you so much, Keith. Next up, we have Emma.
Hi, my name is Mabed, or you can call me Emma. I live in a Skyview Park Community Center, and one thing to describe about my community is diverse and multilingual.
Perfect. Thank you so much, Emma. All right. Up next, I see Usuario de Zoom. Si quiere, lo puede poner en el chat. Up next, I see Melvin Artiaga. Okay. Is there anything in the chat?
Nothing in the chat.
Okay. Usuario de Zoom, I see that you're on now. Do you want to go ahead and introduce yourself?
Hola, buenas tardes. Mi nombre es Ana Romero. Soy embajadora también de la comunidad de Rainmobile Colony, Alexandria. Y pues habemos un poquito de muchas personas de diferentes nacionalidades, pero se puede decir que es algo muy agradable. Unidos también. ¿Qué más puedo decirles? Okay.
Muchas gracias, señora Ana. So we have Miss Anna Romero, and she is an ambassador of her community in Alexandria. They have a lot of nationalities, and the community is very united. Muchas gracias. Okay.
We do have a message in the chat from Marion. No se escucha.
Okay. Let's see. Miriam, no escucha? Señora Miriam Totola.
Olga, I'll reach out to her in the chat. You can-
Okay, all right.
Sí, le escucho.
Okay.
Ok, puede introducirse a su nombre y en la comunidad donde usted vive y puede decir una palabra que describe su comunidad.
Sí, buenas noches, soy Miriam Totola. Fui embajadora de la comunidad por más de 10 años. Mi comunidad es Pinewood, está cerca del edificio Sub-County. Mi comunidad es tranquila, diversa y un poco comunicativa. Gracias.
We also have a message from Melvin in the chat. Perdón, tengo problemas con el señal, no los escucho con claridad. Mi nombre es Melvin Arteaga. Vivo en la comunidad de Sequoia. Una palabra para describir mi comunidad, en mi opinión, es unidad cooperación.
Thank you so much. Going back to Miriam Totola, she has been an ambassador for her community for 10 years. Her community is Pine Woods, and a community that is tranquil and diverse, and they have a good communication there. Thank you so much, Miss Miriam. And up next, oh, and in the chat, I see that Melvin says that he's from the Sequoia community, and his community is a cooperative unit. Thank you so much. Muchas gracias, señor Melvin. Okay, where did I? Okay, I see Miss Kimberlyn Van Dyke.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Good evening. Hi, my name is Kimberly Van Dyke. I'm a mom of 7, and I actually live in the Pinewood Lake community, and I must agree that we are very united and very diverse. This is a beautiful community.
Awesome.
Awesome.
Thank you so much. Welcome. I see.
Thank you.
Arona Kessler.
Thank you. My name is Arona Kessler. I live in the Woodlawn area in Washington Square Apartments, and I would say my community is diverse.
Perfect. Thank you so much. Thanks for being here. Did I miss anyone? I'm sorry if I did. You can go ahead and come off mute if I missed you.
Keith, did Keith go already?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
All right. Well, I am so happy that you're all here and representing the Mount Vernon area. So thanks for being here.
Thank you so much, Olga, and everyone for participating. Do we have Christopher Leonard, Deputy of Human and Health Services?
Yes, ma'am. I'm on.
Oh, great. Well, welcome. So we are on the next slide, please, Jacob. And next slide. Okay.
Are we ready?
Yes, we're ready. When you're ready.
Thank you so much, and welcome everyone tonight. Just to a little bit about myself, I spent about 17 years in the Neighborhood and Community Services Department. And I left there about 3 years ago to take my current job as Deputy County Executive for Health and Human Services. So I see a lot of familiar faces. So I want to say hello to everyone, and I just wanted to reassure everyone that's taking the time to participate in these sessions. You are in exquisite hands with the men and women from the Department of Neighborhood and Community Services. They'll make sure that you see a lot of value out of this these next 6 sessions. So like I said, you're in good hands, and welcome to all my friends and colleagues that I see tonight. So thank you for the invite, and I'll try to do you proud as a former colleague. So I think Jill, are we running? Does Jill have the, I don't have control of my slides, so hopefully.
I think Jacob has it, right? Control. Or do you want to give me control?
Is Jacob still on?
Yep. You should be co-host now, Jill. So you can.
Okay.
Jill, you ready?
I am. Let me see. Oh, I wonder if I have to share my screen with the PowerPoint.
You let me unshare.
Yeah, okay. Hold on just a second.
Just a friendly reminder from Tanya in the chat, please be mindful of the speed of your speech so interpreters can provide the best service possible. Thank you.
That's good advice for me, because I have been told many times, primarily from my wife, that I talk too daggone fast. So I'll try to keep an even pace tonight. But thank you for that reminder. Okay, so we're going to get started tonight with a little bit of an overview of Fairfax County, the governance structure. We do operate an urban county executive form of government. So what does that mean? It means a lot of things, but primarily for you, it means that we elect a 10-member board of supervisors that hires the county executive to lead the day-to-day operations. The county executive for Fairfax County is Brian Hill. I am one of his deputies. He has 4 deputy county executives and a CFO that report directly to him. And the county executive reports directly to Fairfax County, to the board of supervisors. The most obvious example of another model is just across the river in Maryland, where they actually elect the county executive. It's not hired by their board of commissioners or board of supervisors. They actually elect the county executive. So that's what's different here in Virginia. All of our counties have representative government. For us, it's through our board of supervisors, and they hire the county executive to run the day-to-day operations. In Fairfax, we have 9 magisterial districts. So we've kind of broken it up into 9 representative areas, all with between 120 to 135,000 people. So we are a large county, by far the largest in the state of Virginia. We're clearly here tonight in the Mount Vernon District. We included all of the other 8 districts. And then the chairman of the board is elected at large. So all 1.2 million or so folks, or not all, but everyone that's of voting age is elect the chairman at large. So we like to say at all times for all of our residents that you have 2 elected representatives for the Fairfax County Board of Supervisors. Your local district, which obviously in this case is Supervisor Stork, and the chairman, which in our case currently is Chairman Jeff McKay. So that's a little bit of an update on this. And I should say also that we're going to make sure that you get a copy of this PowerPoint, because there's a lot of links in there that I want you to be able to have, so you can go in and peruse at your leisure, especially a little bit later in the presentation. You'll see where there's some things that will take you to opportunities to get involved. So, and just to close out the governance structure, we do have 3 additional constitutional officers. Our Commonwealth's attorney, our clerk of the circuit court, and our sheriff are all elected. And obviously also the 12 members of the Fairfax County School Board are directly elected by the voters of Fairfax County. I will say, and obviously everybody on this, you're clearly wanting to become more educated on the Fairfax County government structure. This is an election year. There's no higher form of democracy than participating in an election. So kudos to you all to participating in this neighborhood college, and couldn't be a better year, because this is the year where we're electing our representatives for the next 4 years. Well, next slide would just show you the pictures of the 10-member Board of Supervisors. I don't have a lot to say about that, but I think it's always good to put the information for each of the board members and a picture of them, so you can see when you, maybe if you turn it on channel 16, you'll see a number of them have different shows where they're educating their constituents. So you can see who they are and get a little bit of information for each one of those 10. The next slide is the organization of Fairfax County government, and it is a large organization, about 15 or 16,000 employees. So that is a large operation. You'll see we kind of in the red square there put the little area where we are with regards to health and human services, and that's where we're going to talk mostly about tonight within the broader human services, within the broader county government structure. But as you can see, we've got public safety, we've got administration, we've got public works. All of that goes into the operations of Fairfax County government. But tonight, moving forward, we're going to talk mostly about our health and human services agencies. So our organization, I'm just going to say a little bit about each one. Our Fairfax Falls Church Community Services Board, better known as CSB. That is our primary mental health, behavioral health serving agency. Also our substance abuse agencies, alcohol, other, a lot of our work with opioids and the scourge that is opioids that is really running across the nation, and Fairfax County is no different in that. The Community Services Board provides leadership for the county's response there. Our health department just has gone through probably a 3-year period that none of them ever want to repeat, and certainly none of us want to ever repeat, but our health department was our lead on our response to the awful COVID-19 pandemic. So but we do have that very strong department that is also directly connected to the Virginia Department of Health. Our Fairfax County Public Library, hopefully you've been to one of our many wonderful libraries, either for fellowship, going with other people, or for to be able to check out a book, or take advantage of the wonderful electronic offerings that they have. So our public libraries within human services, as is our park authority. Our park authority, we speak a lot about behavioral health and physical health. Certainly our Fairfax County Park Authority leads the way in providing opportunities for families to be able to be together and exercise both the mind and the body. And we have some of the best parks in the world, really, here in Fairfax County. And all of that is within our umbrella. I'm going to skip over the 2 community centers for now, right? And I'm going to go up to the right there. The Department of Family Services does a lot. It is our lead social services agency in Fairfax County. So what does that mean? A lot of our federal and state mandated programs like temporary assistance for needy families, or TANF, our SNAP benefits, which is the supplemental nutrition program, our Medicaid renewal process, all of that comes via Fed through state to the local, and it's our Department of Family Services that administers, but it's also the home of Child Protective Services and Adult Protective Services, and a number of older adult programs that seek to protect our older adults, which is one of the largest or fastest growing populations in Fairfax County, as we see a lot of our residents choosing not to move away from Fairfax, but choosing to stay and age in place, as we call it. And then also our foster care program. Obviously, there's no better angels than our folks that choose to become foster parents, and the foster parent program, or the foster program, is run out of our Department of Family Services. Department of Housing and Community Development, we are one of the agencies that is able to, we're large enough that we have our own housing and community development program. Our Board of Supervisors has, I believe the saying is, to whom much is given, much is expected. Our Board of Supervisors, and Supervisor Stork can certainly attest to this, has really stepped up over the last, let's say, 3 years or so, really trying to direct as many resources as possible into our affordable housing campaign, seeking to be able to build affordable housing across the county, not in one specific area, but across the county, as we all seek to make sure that we're still affordable to live here in Fairfax. And our housing and community development does that. And they do that through a variety of partnerships with nonprofits, but also the business community, other developers and builders, and also the federal government is through the Federal Department of Housing and Urban Development. We get many resources through that as well. But certainly from a human services standpoint, affordable housing is a priority of the Board of Supervisors. So it is our priority within Human Services to continue to move that ball down the field, so to speak. Our Juvenile and Domestic Relations District Court, I will say one thing about that is our census in terms of the total number of kids that are in detention within the Juvenile and Domestic Relations Court is and has been at some historic lows for us, which means a lot of the diversion efforts that we're trying to provide and giving an option for a 14-year-old that does something that they're not supposed to do, where 20 years ago, it may have been introducing them to the court system and the jail system, prison system, and the outcomes that we would see long-term were not positive. Putting into place numerous, not prevention, but diversion programs to give kids an opportunity not to fall victim of becoming a repeat offender within the criminal justice system. So that's something where this system works holistically. Neighborhood and Community Services does a lot with that as well, to make sure that we have options for our younger teens, 12, 13, 14-year-olds that maybe are, for whatever reason, making some bad decisions, let's say, and trying to make sure that we keep them out of the criminal justice system as long as we can to try to get them kind of adjusted and onto the right track. That brings me to the Department of Neighborhood and Community Services. Again, an agency is near and dear to my heart. I spent so many years there. It is the home of all the community centers with the exception of the two I'm about to talk about. Gum Springs Community Center, the Sacramento Neighborhood Center, which is also down in that area. All of that is run and operated by Neighborhood and Community Services. All of the senior centers, I think there's 14 senior centers throughout the county, and all of the adult day healthcare centers, which is a more dependent style of day program supports for older adults. All of that is run by Department of Neighborhood and Community Services. There's a number of things, our SAC program, our after school programs, all run by Neighborhood and Community Services. But I want to highlight one thing from across the county that Neighborhood and Community Services leads, and it's something we call the inclusive community engagement model. And what that's specifically designed to do is to make sure that we're hearing all of the county, whether it's new building development or a new playground or a new park or what have you, making sure that we're seeking out and getting all the voices heard, not just the voices that traditionally are able to make it to a public hearing, et cetera, going to the places where maybe we haven't gone before to make sure that we're hearing all of the voices. That's what the inclusive community engagement model is about. And the Department of Neighborhood and Community Services is doing a wonderful job of implementing that in agencies across the county. So just wanted to highlight that. The two community centers, Reston and McLean, this predates me, so it's 25, 30 plus years ago, probably longer than that. Reston and McLean both decided that there would be a boundary around those areas and there'd be a special tax levied. So they pay the county tax, but then they also pay additional tax. That additional tax goes to the operations of both of the Reston tax goes to the Reston community centers. The McLean tax goes to McLean community centers. So the general fund, the general taxpayer across the county, is not contributing to those centers. The only way they would is if they participate in those programs, and they would actually, to the extent that they would have to pay a fee to participate in the programs, like anybody else. Those fees also go to the operations of both centers. but neither center is general fund funded, which means the general taxpayer, for instance, the folks that are in Mount Vernon District their taxes are not going for the operation of the community center in McLean or Reston. Those are all done. So we call those a special tax district. But all of that is housed within our Health and Human Services. Then on the right, you'll see our stakeholders. There's a reason why we put residents number one. No matter what department we're talking about, what service, residents are at the forefront of our customer. That's who we do this for. That's who we're focused on. And we want residents to not only be engaged in the programs and services we offer, we also want them engaged in the identification of issues, identification of solutions, and then the implementation of said solutions to be able to meet their needs. So the residents are at the forefront of what we do. And then there's a number of organizations. We did it in alphabetical order, so we didn't upset anybody. I would specifically call out our nonprofits. We are incredibly blessed in Fairfax County. We are the envy of the entire metropolitan region, essentially, with the diverse offering of nonprofits that we can work with in the service of our citizens, or of our residents, I should say. And they do a wonderful job. We couldn't do, I'll mention when the unfortunate issue with Afghanistan happened, we took on a number of Afghani refugees that, just got uprooted all of a sudden. Our nonprofits really kicked it into high gear. We called a special meeting of our nonprofits. We got 120 people in a 48-hour notice, 120 people to show up to an information session to try to talk about how we're going to help serve these folks as they're coming into our county. So that's just a little bit of how blessed we are with the nonprofits. I will also say we're closely partnered with our schools, and no more so than what you're seeing now. If you've been to one of the various opioid town halls that is occurring, you'll see the superintendent there. You'll see several school-based employees there, but you also see our community services board, our CSB. You also see our health department there. You also see our police department there. So truly a coordinated effort, and our schools are coordinated in everything we do across the board. So I don't want to short shrift anybody that's on there, but I just wanted to call out those specific ones. And I promise this is the longest I'll talk on any one slide. So next slide there. This is our leadership team. Again, just to put a name with face, I'm really incredibly proud of the leaders that we have. They all come from varied backgrounds, and they've got varying experiences. And just to put a name with the face of the various departments that we have in Health and Human Services. Our next slide is our mission and vision. Really, the words on the screen, you can read those, but really what I'd like to say is traditionally Health and Human Services has kind of been viewed as the safety net. And we are that. We do provide a safety net for families, but we also have tried to shift into this mode of providing opportunities to be safe, healthy, and creating an environment and access to opportunity where everyone can realize their full potential. And that's where we've kind of moved into beyond the safety net. And we really view ourselves as the foundation of a thriving community. We mentioned the guiding principles there at the bottom. I would say one of the core is to address root causes. The safety net is there to catch, but we are not doing our job if we're not figuring out what caused the individual or the family to be able to have a need for us at a safety net level, and how can we attack those root causes. So that's really where we're moving towards, focusing on prevention and making our investments accordingly. Our next slide would be just to show you how Fairfax County is so large that it's really, really difficult to try to think of it in terms of just one county. So several years ago, this is 25 plus years ago, the Human Services broke itself up into 4 regions, which is roughly equivalent in terms of population, but you can see where those regions are. I will say that if you have a kid in school or have had a kid in school, you may see that they have similar regions and they're similarly drawn. as luck would have it, they numbered their regions differently than we numbered ours. But we viewed it as, well, we were here for 25 years with the regions. We can figure out where we match up with the school's regions fairly easily. But I just wanted to highlight this for you, that's kind of, and I think that when Letishma talked about, she's one of 4. It's not a coincidence that there's 4 regions. And most agencies, most of our organizations with human services, we do things according to region. So there can be a lot of collaboration. This helps drive collaboration across our system. Next slide, maybe the most important slide for you guys to have and take tonight. It's how to connect to services. We've got a link in there to our Health and Human Services. I'm going to highlight 2 numbers, and again, not shorting any one number, but I'm going to highlight that 222-0880 number. That's right in the middle of the screen. That is our coordinated services planning, where we'll have over 40 social workers ready to pick up the phone and talk to you and help you and vet your situation. Now, generally, that is for people that need emergency supports, like I'm about to lose my housing situation, either through foreclosure or rent or whatever. We can help with that. We can help on an emergency situation, help you, connect you to resources. So it's really for rent assistance, for food, but it's also for transportation. We have a number of things that our social workers are trained to ask. So you may call because you're about to lose your apartment, but in talking to you, we may realize that, well, part of that also ties into your lack of connection to transportation, and we can help with that. So that 222 line is important. It's also, if you don't know any other line, it's a really good line from a human services perspective to call to get connected to somebody that then, if it's not exactly what they can connect you for, they'll know who to connect you to. So it's a very positive line, and one of the best things, it's if we do have a full-time Spanish speaking line that is fully. We have other, I think we have up to 11 or 12. It's a number of languages that we can speak with our various social workers, but we do have the one dedicated Spanish line that is always operable during operating hours. The other line I want to highlight, just because this is a national effort, is the 988 Suicide and Crisis Lifeline. That is very important, considering the mental and behavioral health issues that we've seen for both youth and adults coming out of the pandemic. I think everybody talked during the pandemic, when we were all huddled up together, that this is going to be one really large mental health issue coming out. And the numbers have shown that. And kudos to the federal government to working with the states and localities to set this up. But you're able to call 988 and you'll get the connected to the supports that you need. If you or a loved one is in crisis, and I encourage you to always remember that. And 988 is, I mean, obviously trying to get something everybody knows an emergency, you call 911. We're trying to get to where 988 is almost as well, is as readily identifiable as I've got a emergency issue with me or a loved one in our crisis. Let me call 988. So all these other numbers are really important as well, and we'll make sure you get them. But I did want to take the time to highlight those 2 specifically. Network of community partners. I mentioned this a little bit, our nonprofit. We do have hundreds of faith-based organizations that are ready to provide emergency and basic needs assistance at the drop of a hat. They are core to our hypothermia program in the winter, to try to bring people in out of the cold, so we don't have people completely unnecessarily dying in the cold weather because they don't have a place to sleep that's warm. Our faith-based organizations are central to our winter hypothermia program that encompasses thousands of volunteers, many businesses that are willing to partner with the county, and then obviously our community-based health and hospital and social services providers that provides supports. And we've got two in the county. We have two really wonderful federally qualified health centers. One in this area is Neighborhood Health. In the Reston Herndon area, it's HealthWorks. But the key thing is they are available to be able to support families and kids and their health needs. Our next slide, we'll talk a little bit about One Fairfax. One thing I'll say about One Fairfax is, if you don't remember anything, you remember it's all about how you view the situation, applying the equity lens. Because I think if you do that with what we're doing, or what moves we're trying to make, or what initiatives we're trying to develop, if you're looking at it through an equity lens, you're going to hopefully catch any unintended consequences that may be, again, unintentionally shutting out a community or a segment of the population that you have no intention of shutting out. So it's all about applying that equity lens, which hopefully will end up ensuring that we're providing opportunities for all to be able to be their best selves. So One Fairfax is a board and school board adopted policy, and it's something that we're still building, we're still learning the best way to apply this. But I'm really proud that I think we did this concept well before any other jurisdiction, certainly east of the Mississippi River did. And now you see it's something that almost every jurisdiction has. But we passed the One Fairfax policy about 10 years ago. So that was we've been trying to incorporate this into our government operations for quite some time. And again, it's just it's an iterative process that will continue to improve each year that we implement. What guides our work? The Shaping Future of Fairfax is the countywide strategic plan. That is the basis for all that we do. But I will also point out we have a vulnerability index that allows us, from a equity lens that we were just talking about, allows us to focus in on there may be areas or measures that on the surface appear really good, but then when you start looking deeper, you'll see that maybe there's some areas within certain communities that the county still needs work in. So I feel like that Shaping the Future incorporates One Fairfax across the board, but then things like the vulnerability index gives us the data to be able to kind of check ourselves with regards to that equity lens. I also want to point out two specific things: the community assessment survey for older adults, the CASOA. We do that every 3 years. It's very valuable to be able to see where we are. We also ask a lot of questions that allow us to target down to demographic areas to say, okay, well, maybe the majority of the community feels safe, but maybe this particular target of the community isn't feeling safe. So let's address that. I'd also like to highlight what I think is a gold mine within Fairfax County, and anybody that's got kids should avail themselves of this. The Fairfax County Youth Survey is done every single year, and people have always asked me, well, what is the sample size for the youth survey? And I tell them everyone, because it's every 8th grader, every 10th grader, and every 12th grader has the chance to take that youth survey. They can opt out, and some do, but we get tens of thousands of responses every year. So it's very statistically significant, and it gives us that trend line to be able to help us. Frankly, it showed us exactly it validated what we all thought was going to happen coming out of the pandemic with regards to depression and mental health. But it's got things around substance abuse. It's got things around just social connections for youth. It is a wonderful tool, and most jurisdictions do not have it. And if they have it, they don't have it anywhere near the comprehensive approach that we have it. So I would encourage you to take a look at that when you get some time. I put some cross-system strategic initiatives. I want to make sure I leave some time for questions. So I've just highlighted some of these things. The diversion first I talked about, that is for primarily for adults, but diversion is something that we look at across all age groups. So I talked a little bit about it with our juvenile domestic relations court, but our diversion first is actually also nationally acclaimed for our adult diversion efforts as well. Healthy Minds Fairfax is our lead within the Community Services Board to focus in on mental health and behavioral health issues. Our Opioid and Substance Use Task Force incorporates the schools and public safety along with our Health and Human Services. So all of these are really, really important. I could talk forever about them, but I know in the interest of time, I'm going to move on because I want to make sure this get involved. And this is one of the reasons why I want to make sure that everyone gets a copy of this PowerPoint, because these are live links that you can get involved with various health and human services boards, authorities, and commissions. And you get involved via working with your local district supervisor. In this case, it would be Supervisor Stork, to express an interest on a variety of available boards whenever those opportunities come up. And I know Supervisor Stork is always open to having those discussions with folks that are interested in serving in those ways. And frankly, we're always looking for new voices to be able to cycle onto those boards, authorities, and commissions. So take advantage there. Please also take advantage of volunteer opportunities. Once you get access to this, you'll be able to link into that, and you'll see a plethora of volunteer opportunities across the county that you'll be helping somebody else through your volunteering, but I think you'll also be helping yourself because you'll get a lot of value out of helping others. So take advantage there. And then our community interfaith coordination, same concept. You'll be helping others, but then I think you'll be helping yourself because you'll be making some connections that will be extraordinarily valued to you. So with that said, I got the more information, questions on our Health and Human Services side. I'm always available if anybody has any questions. And certainly, I'm sorry, I probably ran long, Nandrid, but I'm open for any questions you may have.
Nandrid, as Chris was wrapping up, Miriam put in the chat that she was having trouble hearing the interpreter. I don't know if that was able to be addressed.
Yeah, so if the interpreters could switch, yeah, another person also said that. So if you could please switch to the next interpreter since there are two, because apparently they currently cannot be heard. Thank you, Robert. Thank you so much, Chris, for your presentation. It was wonderful. Are there any questions that you guys have? You can put it in the chat or you can open your mic. Anyone? So I see it says here, very good presentation. Also, I got confirmation that the interpretation is now working better with the new one. Also, yes, thank you for the overview. Definitely learned a few things. Brian Pagels says. Anything else?
And I do think it's important that we get you the PowerPoint and that you can send the PowerPoint out electronically, because these links are live and they're valuable for folks to be able to easily get to where they need to go.
Most definitely, yes. So after each presentation, each session that we're going to have, there are going to be 6. After each one, we're going to send via email all the presentations, but also at the end, we will give you printed ones. So you're going to have both. But yes, thank you so much for preparing the slides and sharing this valuable information.
Absolutely.
So great. So now we're going to move into Katina Matthews. She is our social impact manager for Neighborhood and Community Services, and is going to be talking to us about the practicum, which will give you opportunities, as Chris Leonard shared, to embark in many experiences. So Jacob, if you could please share the practicum slides, that would be great.
Thanks, Nandrit. So a lot of you on here, welcome. Some of you, I see some familiar faces, and others, it's great to know you on the call this evening. I am Katina Matthews with Neighborhood and Community Services, and have been doing this for quite a while regarding Neighborhood College. So it's always a great honor to come and meet new faces and see familiar ones, as well as get to the exciting part, right? Because that's why most of us are here, is to share information, but also to give you the opportunity, like Chris said, how do I become more involved? How do I increase my awareness and knowledge of what's going on around me? And how do I form a connection with the opportunity to become civically engaged? Because that's what this program is all about, building leadership capacity and how to become more civically engaged. Some of you may already be a part of a nonprofit, or you may volunteer, or you may offer your services through any type of initiative, whether it's faith-based or any type of community project. But how do we get this information, and how do we increase our awareness, but also help others to learn, grow, and to see this wonderful information that you'll be getting, that you'll be receiving every week? So with that, the Neighborhood College does come with a homework element, right? So everybody's excited about homework. Remember homework? For those of us who have not been in school for a long time, we probably dreaded it back in the day. But for some of us, we like the opportunity to help you to get firsthand experience about what is going on locally in your Mount Vernon district or in your area that you may live, work, or play in. But also is there opportunity to network with your colleagues, as well as to learn more and further your knowledge and your leadership skills. So with that, each neighborhood college, we call you students, so that's a great honor. So as participants or students, whatever you would feel like calling yourself, you have the opportunity to do a practicum that is a part of completion of the neighborhood college. And I'm gonna hold off 1 second. I see Lorena has her hand up, Nandrit.
Señora Lorena, ¿tiene algo que decir? I see that the interpreters one of the interpreters is having issues. So is it possible to switch to Tania Flores?
Okay, I'll go on, and if you need to pop in, Nandrit, feel free. But I'll just keep proceeding on.
Thank you.
No problem. So with this, with the practicum, it is an opportunity for you to learn, grow in your knowledge and your awareness about your community and any type of organization or institution regarding firsthand experience about what goes on. So with that, we're asking that each neighborhood college, again, student/participant, you'll be required to do one practicum, which is it's a field assignment. And it's just a brief presentation that you'll prepare. And you can, the great thing is that you can work individually, or you can work in a group of no more than 5 that we ask. I would say that last year we had a couple of groups that worked together, and there were some individuals, but there was also persons who worked together in groups of 2s or 3s. And they were able to come together and meet offline and to share the information. And there was some wonderful presentations that Supervisor Stork had mentioned early on when he did his opening remarks, that it really highlighted the research and knowledge that you all took as a field assignment to go out and learn about what goes on in your community. So it was a great opportunity to share your thoughts and ideas and just the knowledge that you received, right? So again, it's basically firsthand experience about a local program, organization, institute, or just practical application of leadership skills in your local community, and to gain that knowledge about what steps you need to take to come up with a solution to help others, whether it's in your community, at your church, in an organization that you may already serve. So we ask that I'm going to give you a list of practicum ideas, but we ask that, try something new, encourage you to do something new. You're going to be going to new places in the area. You may meet new people. You're going to learn new information. And again, it's to further your knowledge and your leadership. There's going to be a list of practicum that I'm just going to go through. I'm just going to highlight a few. But Nandrit, after the session tonight, Nandrit will send you a form that is a fillable form you can do online. And you're going to take a look at all of the practicum ideas. And you're going to submit what practicum you would like to do. And if you want to be in a group or you want to do it solo. And you're going to have, Nandrit's going to send you her email address, and you probably already received it from the confirmation email that you got regarding, that's why you're here tonight. And Nandrit will review them, and just to give you any feedback, or if you need help in trying to figure out what you want to do, as you can come up with your own idea of your practicum, your field assignment, and you're going to turn that into her by close of business on May 24th. And then that just gives us an idea, because what we're going to do is in a future session, we're going to break you guys into groups based upon your practicum idea or themes. And we're going to share with others in our group here. We're going to share some ideas and thoughts, and then you'll be able to bounce some things amongst each other. But we're also going to provide any type of assistance to you that you may need to get you started. And in case you have any questions, we're going to be able to answer some of those questions for you. Okay. And that's going to happen in a future session. Next slide, please. So with the practicum, again, it's how to access the organization, the resources and information, and a person that and how you make the necessary arrangements to complete your practicum assignment. That's what I was saying, that we're going to give you that technical assistant. We're asking that that this will take a couple of hours throughout the next 6 weeks. So don't feel like, you have to dedicate, 20 hours. It's not, you're not getting a college certification or a trade skill certification, but you will get a certification at the end. I promise you that you will get something that you have participated in neighborhood college. But the practicum is a part of the neighborhood college experience. The practicum itself, we just ask that, you allot some time to just, again, if you're going to do it with the group, just remember to allot some time to be able to share and network with others. Is a great opportunity to learn from each other. And then the presentation itself, we're asking that it be no longer than 5 to 7 minutes. You're going to be able to practice. You're going to be able to look in the mirror and talk to yourself as you're getting up there and facilitating. So you will be, we're going to provide technical assistance regarding facilitation techniques and skills. So we're going to be offering that because like Chris said, there's a lot of resources and things out there that the county provides. So we want to be able to connect those resources with you to help you in this project and for other things as well, as you're learning more about your community and how to become civically engaged. Regarding the experience, you're going to be sharing your thoughts, your impressions, key learnings, and how this experience was helpful to you in your neighborhood work or your personal growth. And some questions to consider when you're doing the practicum. You may say, well, what is the purpose of why I'm doing this? Who can join in or help me in my efforts? What programs or activities do the organization or nonprofit or faith-based group, what do they sponsor? What is the culture of the organization like? Is it equitable? Do you see some opportunities to remove some challenges or barriers? And et cetera, et cetera. So those are some things. The presentations itself, drum roll, brrr, it will take place on the last session of neighborhood college. Nandra might have mentioned, but the first 4 sessions will be virtual. The last 2 will be in person. So that gives us an opportunity to continue to provide you technical assistance. And then the very last class out the series, which will be your actual presentations. So you will have an opportunity to shine. You have an opportunity to showcase the work that you've done, and you'll be able to, invite others to come in and hear you. And also Supervisor Stork and his team will be there as well to hear the great things that you have done regarding your field experience and your research. Okay. Next slide, please. So here's a couple of just examples about what is a neighborhood practicum. Again, questions just to consider, who is the organization, who works there, who do they serve, what programs and services do they offer, what is the culture like, do they serve specific communities, or maybe there's something missing that you would like to suggest. But these are some examples of what you could do to learn more. You can attend an entire meeting of a policy making group, such as the Board of Supervisors meeting, the Planning Commission, a school board meeting, a housing meeting. Those are just some examples. You can attend a meeting in your local area regarding the Mount Vernon Council of Citizens Association or the South County Federation. South County Federation is involved heavily in the Lorton area. So those are some examples of where you can attend a meeting just to meet people and hear what their goals and their missions may be. You could attend a meeting of your local community association board of directors if you haven't gone before. And you can compare and contrast with your own community association that you may be active with. You can attend a meeting of one of the Mount Vernon groups, such as the Rotary, the Optimist Club, the Women's Club, the Lions Club. Every type of club that's out there, you got it, it's here. So you have an array of different options. You can learn about your local nonprofit. We have quite a few here in the area, Mount Vernon area. We have United Community. We have the Lorton Community Action Center. So, what is their mission, vision, and goals? What programs and services they provide? Compare and contrast to other nonprofits or organizations in the community. We also have Koinonia, we have Facets, we have Good Shepherd. So we have, Second Story. We have an array of different providers in the area. You could visit the local animal shelter. There's a new one coming in Lorton, but it's not open yet, but you can find out, hey, what's going to be there? What are their services like? Who is the staff? How can we get this information out to the community? Next slide, please. You can also visit a teen center. What if you have teens or you have grandkids or you see teens in your community going up and down the street as spring is coming and summer is falling right behind it? What is the teen center like? What are other teen centers in the area? Maybe there's a community center or a senior center in your area. Meet the staff, find out what they offer their activities or field trips or things like that. You can also visit the Area Agency on Aging. We have that in our purview to go and find out what do they provide? How are they funded? Find more about volunteer opportunities, as Chris mentioned earlier, and those links that we'll send out. Those are opportunities where you can learn, but also volunteer your services as well and share that within the community that you live. And you can also, visit Volunteer Fairfax. That's another organization that puts out a lot of information. So these are just some suggestions, and you may have others. Next slide. I'm sorry, go back one slide. I do apologize. So if you do feel as though that you have a practicum or an idea of a field assignment that you really have an idea for or interest, put that on your form that Nandra will send out so Nandra will know. And again, this is an opportunity for you to go out there and learn and share with this entire group about what you've learned and your knowledge and how you're able to increase some information of what you might not have known before, and to let others know what your experience has been like. Okay. Any questions? Try to talk not too fast because I can talk fast too, Chris, but I tried to talk slow just to give the interpreters a chance to catch up. No questions. Everybody's good. We're excited. We're students learning. We're going to get out there and have the best practicum and best presentations. I can tell you there are 2 people on here that was a part of it last year, and they did a phenomenal job. So we can also use them when it's time for technical assistance, right? Emma Rat, yep, yep. She said, yep, thumbs up. So there's a persons who have been through the experience, and they can help others with providing their experience from last year when we do our breakout groups. So this is a great opportunity to share some great findings about our wonderful Fairfax County. So, all right, if there's no questions, and we'll carry on some more topics and more information when Nandra sends out the information, but importantly, make sure you turn in that form when you get an idea of what you want to do as far as your homework assignment, okay? Thank you, Nandra.
Thank you, Katina, so much for all that thorough explanation and information. So we are gonna then pivot to an exercise about leadership and leadership styles. So this is just an exercise to reflect and go a little in depth of what leadership means. So it will help you understand and value different kinds of leadership and discover your own strength and challenges as a leader, which then can be applied for, a team or a group setting. So next slide. So I know that all of you are here because you are committed to be a leader, to, take charge, to be involved. So there's a wealth of information that we have. So if you can please put in the chat how do you define leadership? So when you think about leadership, what comes to mind? So can you take a minute and put it in the chat, please? Just a few words. What comes to mind when you think about finding a definition for leadership? If you would like to also just share it, open your mic.
Are you able to access the chat, Nanda, or would you like for me to read?
Yes, I can see the chat. Okay, so I see it's moving fast. Bringing the diverse groups of people to a consensus path forward, deciding on the right course of action and making sure everyone involved understands. Let's jump in on me. Visionary, setting goals. Leadership for me is somebody that puts other interests in front of his to help people. Leading a group of people or organization, listening to those who you are currently or are seeking to lead to understand their perspectives and priorities. Very good. So those are all great definitions of a leadership. Un líder es una persona que tiene empatía hacia los demás y buscar ayuda para quien lo necesite. So it says a leader is somebody that shows empathy towards others and finds help to provide it to those who need it. Excellent, señora Chavarría. Excelente. Okay. Muy bien. So next slide. So yes, so to summarize, the leadership is bringing out the best in others to get the job done. So everything that you also shared, as I said, you're all experts, but it's trying to find the best in others, especially when you have a team that you want to work with. So next slide, please. So what are the reasons why people follow a leader? A model developed by John Maxwell explains the reasons why people follow a leader. They follow a leader because they have to. So sometimes you have no choice. It's someone that was elected, but you didn't have anything to do with that, or is your boss, or they like the leader. So in some cases, it's just something that you do because you choose to. You also follow a leader because that leader delivers. So as somebody wrote, is somebody that comes through with what they promise. Also because that leader helps them grow. So it's somebody that acts as a coach, as a mentor, or provides all the tools and resources so that the group can grow or the community can grow. And they like who the leader is and what she or he represents. So next slide.
Hey, Nanda, there are a couple more posts in Spanish in the chat.
Mm-hmm. Yes, so I see one that says, for me, a leader is someone that could be an example for others, that is kind, that is humble, that has empathy with others. And then Ms. Chavarria also says, because he sets a good example and he has an agreeable conduct. Very good. Muy bien, gracias. So now, I know that Ms. Chavarria wrote some of the traits, and that is what we're gonna do next. So if you could take 2 minutes to think of a person in your life who you see as an effective leader and make a list of some of those characteristics. So some of those traits that makes that person somebody that you admire and that you follow. So you guys already started it when you said, being humble, being kind, being empathetic, but what else? What are those characteristics that makes that special leader in your person somebody that you follow? Anyone? Yes.
I think a good leader is someone, first of all, who listens. to those who are in the team, because there's a lot to do with outcomes. And a leader is someone that is model. They do exactly what they say. They say they're going to do something, they actually do. And there's follow through. And I think there's a level of care that's there as well. Leader also sets the vision. And that vision has a lot to do with probably two levels. The overall vision that may be established by the organization, and then the vision of that particular, I'm gonna say subunit that plays into that overall umbrella.
Yeah, well said. Very good, thank you. We also have here somebody that says somebody that has positive energy and transmits to others that willpower to, to basically break barriers and achieve things. Kimberly Van Dyke shared, my mom, she's very diligent, helping, organized, and caring. Very nice, yep. The one who cares about his community, leading by example, honest, someone with integrity, someone that has passion and shows commitment. Excellent. Someone that sees working as a process we do together and is open to speak with anyone that needs their attention. Very good. Let me see, I think I skipped one. Robert, I can't for some reason scroll down. Okay, let me see. I think successful leaders are thoughtful and proactive, not just reacting to crisis. Very good. And I think the best leaders lead from behind and might not even be visible as leaders to observers. They're willing to change their minds based on listening and empathy, and sometimes take unpopular positions that will improve lives. Very nice. Thank you so much for sharing. Those were excellent. Next slide. We had one more, I think. They bring out the best in everyone. Very good. Very nice. Okay. So the top leadership traits, as we all saw: strong communication skills, honesty, person that has confidence, passionate and optimistic. That comes with that energy that you guys were talking about, goal-oriented, accountable, so promises, carries through with the promises, a lifelong learner, so someone that is humble to understand that we always have something to learn. Even though we have a position in power, we need to refresh ourselves, best practices, and look within so that we can get better. Motivational, so bringing the best in others. Good coach, mentoring others, being flexible. We saw that, during the pandemic, we saw how leaders had to be very creative and pivot and, find solutions. And inclusive, that's our number one priority in Fairfax County, is make sure that everyone is included, everyone has a voice at the table, a seat in the table and a voice. And then we have Ms. Emma wrote, being a true leader, you show others that you can inspire and motivate your team. Very nice. So next slide, please. So now what we're gonna do is utilize a tool that the Lakota Native American culture passed on, and they still utilize it. So it is a design for understanding individual differences and group strengths. So it's basically it's called the medicine wheel. And the medicine wheel comes to us, like I said, from the Native American culture, and its purpose is to provide us with an interesting way of looking at individual differences and similarities. This particular presentation of the medicine wheel is based on traditions of the Lakota Indian people, interpreted to assist us in understanding how diversity impacts on teamwork. So the medicine wheel calls on elements of the natural world, which describes 4 different styles of interacting with each other and our own work. The major compass directions differentiate the styles, and each has an animal, a color, and a season associated with it. So next slide, please. So here we have the medicine wheel. So basically these are 4 symbols. So to the north, we have the buffalo, which is the warrior. And basically it is associated with the winter, white, and the traits are that the buffalo is a driver, is a leader, is quick to act, challenges others, probes and presses, expresses urgency to others. And then for the eagle, he is in the east, and the gifts of the eagle is that he's the visionary, associated with the spring, with the yellow, sees the big picture, is idea-oriented, future-focused, develops solutions, creatively, divergent thinker. And then we have to the south, the deer, which is the humanist, and is associated with the summer, the red, is very supportive, trusting of others, invites others in, is accepting of others, face value, allows others to feel important, concerned with process, establishes relationships to accomplish tasks. Then to the west, we have the bear, and the bear is the judge. So it's associated with the west, autumn, black, thinkers, keepers of tradition, relies heavily on data and logic, is thorough, methodical, and follows systems and procedures. So what I would like for you to do is to see these traits and see which of these symbols you associate with. So when you decide on one, if you can put it in the chat, so, you can put eagle, like, you can put deer, buffalo. So whichever symbol that you identify with, according to the traits, put it in the chat so we can reflect for a little bit. Okay, so we have a deer, eagle, another deer. Let's see. I guess some people are thinking about it. So just look at the traits and decide which one aligns best with you. A bear, so Rafael feels like he's more like a bear. Kimberly Van Dyke thinks she's more like a deer. We have a lot of deers in this group, which is not surprising. Also a mix that happens, yes, a mix between a deer or an eagle. Okay, who else? Another eagle. And a mix between deers and eagles. We have buffaloes, and someone wrote an eagle because eagle has high aspirations and dreams. Okay. And another eagle from Brian, deer. So both. All right. So now let's go to the next slide. Team Eagle, I know, it's a lot of eagles. So those were the traits and those were the gifts. But what happens when we utilize those gifts in excess? So when we are not keeping a balance, when we are not keeping our traits in check. So basically when we get carried away. So what happens if the buffalo doesn't get, his traits in balance? What could happen is that it could become autocratic or too defensive or to push others beyond limits, not being aware of feelings. Then the eagle, if he doesn't keep his traits in check, he could lose energy on tasks. It could lose, the handling in time, in boundaries. It might be difficult to, focus on details. Lack of dependability, the head could be in clouds and could get overwhelmed. The deer, if he doesn't keep in check all those gifts, hold on a second, okay. We'll have a trouble saying no. The deer could tend to assume blame. It could be easily disappointed if relationships are second to task, and it could be easily taken advantage of. And then the bear could become stubborn, entrenched in position, collects unneeded information sometimes, resists emotional pleas, withdrawn. It could resist change and become undecisive. So what the Lakota Native American culture wanted to teach with this is that, we usually have all those traits, but we also have what they refer as rascals. So basically is, what makes us get out of balance and get distracted, so that they believe that we all have that. We all have great traits, but we also tend to have little rascals that get us out of balance and out of focus, and we can lose ourselves into, becoming some of these things that in excess could affect. So next slide, please. So the reflection on the medicine wheel. So we need to, just think, okay, which animal did we choose? Which one did we identify with? How do we see our preference at work and in the community to support others? What are one of two ways that we might need to alter our preferences in working with others? And what do people need to know about us to work more effectively with us? So it's basically to just, have some introspection and try to think, okay, well, I chose that and I saw the traits, but I also saw what happens when I don't have that balance. Also understanding, as we saw in this group, we had many eagles, we have some bears, we had, different people with different gifts. So that we have to understand that when we have a team, everybody has something to provide to the team so that we can be successful. So always understanding that, we might be different, but each quadrant and each person has something to bring so that we could be successful in any tasks that we want to embark on. So keep that in mind when we're trying to be embarking in different, associations and different groups in the community, that we need to be always mindful of ourselves. Have that retrospection so we can be more effective when related to others. So next slide. So leadership is the process of providing vision, direction, and inspiration in a nutshell. So vision is giving people a sense of purpose and focus. Commitment to a vision comes from various means to continuously keep people focused on the vision and why getting there is so important. Direction is clarifying goals, what needs to be done. With clarity, even though that sounds redundant. Values, how things need to be done, and prioritize what is more important. And inspiration, motivating people to meet the challenge, valuing and encouraging people to be their best, recognizing accomplishments, championing changes, and being an example worthy of others, as many of you mentioned. So next slide. And that's it. So if you guys have any questions, about any of the presentations today, we have some time in the agenda to go over them. And we can stop sharing, Jacob, so we can see everyone. Thank you. Okay. Oh, there's a lot of new messages here. Okay, well, I think we were very, there was a lot of information that was shared this evening. So I know that you guys have a lot to think about. But one of the things that we would like to remind you is that, as Katina said, by May 24th, if you could, decide on your practicum. So what would you like to embark on to research, to experience? So keep in mind that by that date, you should decide it so that, we can also lead you and help you and support you if you need, any information, anything, any contacts or whatever it is, we can provide you with that. So just be mindful of that. Remember that we learn by doing, that's basically how it is. When something is hands-on is when we tend to learn the most. And that's the reason why the practicum exists. So for you guys to actually be able to, go research and actually do, and then of course, be able to present. We will have also a trainer that is gonna offer a tutorial basically session. So we're gonna be giving you information about that. And as I said before, after each session, we will be sharing all the slides so you guys could have it. And at the end, we will give you not only the certificate after you, provide your practical presentation, but also a binder that would have all that information. So,
100, are you checking the chat? Raphael would like to get a link on the times of the meetings that take place for the practicums, things like the Chamber of Commerce or housing.
Okay, so yes, like I said, you will be receiving tomorrow information about anything that you requested and, with all the links. So most definitely.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Yeah, you're welcome. And Leticia, do you have any words to close the group?
I just want to say thank you guys for.
You froze.
I'm excited about this learning journey, and we will let you get up early. So I want to say thank you. Like Nandred said, you'll get the information tomorrow, and I will see you next Tuesday.
Yes, and also Yvette Perez was wondering if we were gonna provide the information in Spanish as well, and yes, we are working. So by the end of the 6 sessions, you will have everything translated and provided to you. That is our goal. So, well, thank you again so much for your time and for your participation. I love that you guys were able to engage and interact. So thank you so much, and I hope you have a wonderful evening. Okay. Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Good night.
Thank
you. Good night,
Thank you.
everyone.
Good night.
Gracias por la información. Buenas noches.
Buenas noches.
Wonderful overview. Thank you.
Thank you, guys. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you. And thank you for the interpreters.
Very much. Emma Bed.
Yes.
Hi, Latisma, how are you?
I am good. Do you want, we usually stay on, this group usually stay on after. Do you want me to give you a call?
Oh, that's fine. I just have a quick question.
Okay.
I know NCS offer like you know how the volunteer hours. Are we able to use that towards to if I'm going to, you know, a center or something, or I have to do it like after our time?
So you're saying if you're volunteering, if you can't, for NCS, we offer volunteer, but you can't volunteer in the same capacity that you work. So I can reach out to you tomorrow and we can talk about that because you can't volunteer in the same capacity.
Okay.
Me too, Latisha. We are the same. We have the same position, so me too.
Okay, I'll try to email you guys tomorrow and reach out to you because you can't volunteer in the same capacity. There's a rule about in your role, so you can't volunteer in the same capacity. So I'll reach out to you about that.
Okay, thank you so much.
You are welcome.
And we're glad to be here and looking.
I'm excited. I know seeing you again. Great.
Yes, thank you so much.
All righty.
And thank you to see you, Jacob, too. Every morning I saw you, but I didn't know you are here. So good to see you. Okay. Thank you. Bye.
Thank
Bye-bye.
you. Bye-bye. Oh.
Okay. Let me stop recording.
Please and thank you.